Hello and welcome back to ESA Summer 21. We're raising money for Save the Children, and if you would like to donate, you can find links below the stream. We'd also like to thank Twitch and ViewSonic for sponsoring us this event, but now it's time for Ahmad running Blaster Master. Take it away.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Ahmad. I'll be playing the Japanese version of NES Blaster Master, and for the commentary we have Uranium Anchor and Scavenger. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so the timer will start when I gain control of the tank, and I guess we're just going right away, so I'll give you a countdown, and I will hand it over to these wonderful commentators of mine. Let's go in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so Blaster Master. It was a kind of late release in the NES life cycle. It's a pretty graphical game for the hardware it's on, and as such, it is very lag prone. You'll see a lot of lag reduction strats throughout the entire run where Ahmad's going to be killing enemies to reduce as much of that lag as possible, but due to the way the game spawns enemies, there's some rooms where if you kill too many enemies in an upcoming room, it'll spawn more and lead to more lag, so it's kind of like waiting out what rooms to put lag in.
Yep. Yeah, this game is very prone to sprite overflow, and things will sometimes just fail to spawn, and in some cases that even works on bosses, although I use the word works very loosely there because you don't actually want that, because then you can't kill the boss and get the power-up. It's bad. It happens in Area 5, especially, if you're not careful.
It's only ever happened once where the boss didn't appear and the power-up actually still showed up, but we're not gonna get into that. That's a whole...
Still don't know how that happened. Let's leave it at that.
It's a mystery to us all. Yeah, this game employs two different kinds of gameplay. It's got your side-scrolling platforming with the tank, and then you can get out and explore some dungeons on foot, and it goes to a more kind of overhead, like Zelda-ish perspective, I guess.
Yep. Every single boss you fight in an overhead section, and that's where you get the primary power-ups that improve your abilities and allow you to get places that you couldn't before. And something I want to mention before I forget, the drops you get from enemies are fixed based on the enemy type. It's sometimes random whether or not they'll drop at all, but a given enemy will always drop the same kind of item. And those skulls that he was fighting in the room right before the boss, he picked up he killed 2 of them because they always drop triple missiles. And those triple missiles are really powerful, and they're really good for some stuff in areas, mostly Area 3. But he will also use it on this gate boss that he's about to fight, or gate mini-boss, I should say. So you cannot kill this gate mini-boss at all until you killed the first boss and picked up the hyper, which changes the shape of your shots, makes them more powerful, and again, lets you kill that thing. Even you can kill it with missiles, but the missiles won't actually do anything unless you have hyper.
And the other sub-weapons in this game are Thunder Break, which just shoots a lightning bolt in a random kind of cone underneath you, and homing missiles. The Thunder Break is kind of not really useful at all.
Yeah, it's too unreliable.
Homing missiles can be if they're used right. In most runs, you'll see homing missiles get used in Area 6 because there's kind of a pack along the way that's not out of the way to grab, and it helps with clearing out some enemies that are in the way in upcoming screens after that.
Yeah. You have to be careful, though, because the homing missiles also lag the game up really bad, so it's a trade-off whether or not the extra lag from the homing missiles is worth clearing the room out to decrease the lag from the enemies.
So you might all notice that Ahmad is pausing whenever he hits a screen transition. This game kind of has a screen scroll similar to Zelda, where when you go through a door or a screen transition, it pulls the entire screen over and then puts you in the new room. That's a kind of long animation, and by pausing and unpausing, you skip that animation. It doesn't save much time on any given transition, but when you factor it in over the course of however many door transitions are in this run, possibly hundreds, it adds up very fast.
Yeah, if you do it perfectly, it's 11 frames, so about a little less than a quarter of a second. But as you can see, there's a lot of door transitions in this run. So over the course of the run, it probably ends up saving anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds if you do them all correctly. Not sure if I've ever actually counted. And the other thing is that it does actually, because of the fact that the enemies are on screen for less time, because it just immediately pops there instead of scrolling over, that can actually change a couple of room strategies. It's really subtle, and it only comes into play a couple of times over the course of the run, but it does actually matter. So, in a run that doesn't use warps, you would actually kill some of those skeletons because they drop hover sometimes, which you need in order to get to a couple of areas later on. But in resets, in any of the reset categories, and he's doing all the resets here, you lose all your hover every time you either reset or game over, and so picking it up doesn't help at all. So that's a pretty famous glitch. It was even in like a Nintendo Power insert. If you pause the game while grenades are in damaging certain bosses, they'll just continue to take damage, and then you can unpause and they die. It takes about 5 seconds, 10 seconds, somewhere in there. It works on 3 of the bosses you're going to see in this run. You still there, Scavenger?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can now, yeah.
Okay. My microphone decided it wanted to mute itself. Hooray.
Yeah, it sounded like you got cut off there, so I was like, was he about to say something?
But no, I was just going to say an interesting little tidbit about the grenade glitch is that it only works on the bosses that have a palette swapped variant in another part of the game. So areas 2 and 6 share the same boss with a palette swap, and likewise 4 and 7 share a boss, and those are the only ones the grenade glitch works properly on. The bosses it doesn't work on, you can kind of do a modified version where you spam pause while spamming grenade, but it doesn't really add any extra damage. It just kind of slows down the boss's mechanics and gives you more time to react and etc.
Yeah. Before we get too far ahead, the power-up that he got from the second boss is called Crusher, and it enhances your shots even further, and also allows you to destroy certain blocks. So the Crusher ends up doing twice the damage of the shot you start with, and there's going to be some barriers later that you have to use the Crusher in order to get past. In Area 7, there's actually like there's rooms that are full of destructible blocks, but we're actually going to be skipping basically all of Area 7 with a glitch that was discovered a few years ago. It's fairly reliable, but it's consistent enough, or it's tight enough timing that it still ruins runs on a regular basis.
Yeah, and the Area 7 skip in this game is really interesting. It's gone over. We've been skipping Area 7 for a while, but in a lot of different ways. Originally, there was a frame perfect or the game soft lock skip that saved about 20 to 30 seconds over the normal route. And then somebody found another skip at the first part of the level that took you to right where the other skip happened. The two of those combined saved about a minute and 15 seconds. But then somebody found another method where the second of the skips, the one where you can soft lock if it's not frame perfect, they found a way of losing 3 seconds, but making it super consistent, not frame perfect or soft lock anymore. And then after all that work got done, it got thrown down the garbage because somebody found a way to just go into the dungeon and damage boost over the lava.
Yep. Although the version you're going to see in this run, for some reason, it only works in the Japanese version. We haven't really dug into why, but we just know that it doesn't work in the US version for some reason.
I actually have a theory on that. They kind of like made the ice physics more aggressive in the US version. Your acceleration takes a much sharper hit at the start of movement. So I think it's just you don't have as much or as instantaneous acceleration over the ice physics over the the lava, so you just don't get the distance.
Yeah,
This
you know
game
what?
actually counts, as UA already knows, this game actually counts damaging floor tiles as ice tiles in the engine.
Yeah. Well, the instant death ones, yeah, are also tagged as ice. It's like it uses the same attribute. It's just it checks to see if you're in Area 6 before killing you, and if you're in Area 6, then it doesn't kill you, and you just get ice physics instead. But you also get the ice physics if you're currently invincible, because, well, you didn't die, so it must be ice.
Coming up
Okay,
on
so
the Area 3 boss here. This is Photophage. It's a series of boxes that are just going to spawn around the room and shoot things. If you don't kill them, they can pile up and really just ruin your run. They
Okay,
just can overwhelm you very
Missed
quickly.
one. Missed one.
That was 98% perfect.
Yeah.
They didn't. If you let those get away from you, it can turn that boss fight into a huge mess. Okay,
no.
so
Reset the game.
this is something that only works in the Japanese version. If you soft reset, for some reason you still keep all the power-ups you picked up, all the permanent power-ups. And so as you can see, he's got a hover bar now. This only works in the Japanese version. For whatever reason, it just doesn't take your power-ups away. I'm not really sure why, but this version also has infinite continues.
It's
so it
actually
may have something to do
because
with that.
it's actually because there's no intro or demo cutscenes in the Japanese version, and the demo cutscenes are what reset the flags on the US version when you reset.
I could believe that, yeah. This isn't a great hover farm. This is the one big moment of RNG in this category. That was all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can lose a lot of time there. David's run in 2019 at SGDQ, he managed to get 3 hover from 4 enemies, and they all spawned really fast. And so it was like one of the fastest hover farms I'd ever seen.
It was insane. Absolutely insane hover farm.
But that was still all right. Like
Yeah,
I would still, like, if I was working on a PB or a world record attempt, I would still have accepted that hover farm because there's enough other places where things can go wrong.
Definitely.
But that's the biggest moment of randomness in this category.
So coming up in this next room, Ahmad's going to pop out of his tank and turn around at the same time he goes to enter the door. That's going to confuse the game and make him enter the door the wrong way, which kind of offsets his internal position and puts him on the other side of the room, allowing him to skip the Area 4 barrier. He's going to use that same glitch to kind of offset the tile. Every time he does this, it's offsetting the game's internal tile positioning by 1 tile. So by doing this 3 times, he can get around this block, pause and unpause, and he is now skipping through onward to Area 5 proper.
Yep.
That's important because by skipping the Area 4 gate, you don't have your tank, and you need your tank to destroy those blocks.
Yep.
And while he's swimming ahead to the next boss, it's a perfect time for any donations or messages from our beautiful stream team.
All right, awesome. Thank you. In that case, I'd just like to let everyone know that we have a few amazing incentives that got added yesterday. We're slowly adding more as you guys meet them. But one of my favorites that I'd like to talk about is the bonus game for Sega Bass Fishing, any percent. Fuzzy will showcase Sega Bass Fishing right after Mario Party 7. And he'll use like the actual controller and everything. So that'll be a really funny bonus game. It's set as the goal for $1,500, which is the highest incentive we've had yet. But we have a lot of time to meet it. But it's only at $167 right now. So if you want to see some speedrun fishing action, get your donations in and pick that incentive. There are, of course, other incentives and a whole bunch of bid wars to put your money towards. So have a look, see what you want to put it towards, and you'll be helping to save the children as well. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Definitely get those in, guys. So you might have noticed Ahmad taking a death. That's setting up another kind of skip. He's going to not have to backtrack backwards through Area 5 by taking an intentional game over.
Nice. Only one pause. Okay, so this is a trick that sort of works in the US version, but the Japanese version has a much more forgiving setup because you can pause it during a particular part of the fade, and it breaks. As you can see, it just completely toasts the graphics. It traps the boss in the corner. He can't hurt you, and you can just kill him. And that, if not for that, that would be the second most random part of the run because his movement pattern is completely random and he becomes really hard to hit if he starts moving around. But doing that trick traps him in the corner and you can just kill him.
Yeah,
and then as you can see, he died basically immediately after he picked up the power up, which allows the tank to turns the tank into a submarine. But it puts him back at the beginning of the level, and as it turns out, the entrance to Area 6 is basically at the beginning of Area 5. So you save that entire swim back through Area 5, and it saves a bunch of time.
Yes. And now Area 6, the absolutely Nintendo-mandated ice level in a NES game.
Obligatory, yep.
They won't give you that seal of whatever if you don't put an ice level in your game. It's a fact. But here you're going to see just some more lag reduction. Platforming here is a little bit trickier than it looks because this game has some pretty strong ice physics. The Japanese version, it's toned down a little bit compared to the US where it's really, really harsh. But even in the Japanese version, the ice physics are pretty strong.
Yeah. I would say when I'm doing attempts at this game, this stage is the most unreliable simply because of the ice physics. There's so many jumps in here that are hard to get right the first try. There's one in particular that is really risky, but most of them are just well, I missed it, now I just get to jump over this ledge again. And it gets pretty annoying. And he got it. Okay, he got the risky jump. We call that the leap of faith. If you fall there, you lose 30 seconds. Doing it saves maybe a second, but missing it costs you about 30.
Yeah.
And there's the hover pickup that we were referring to earlier in the run. It's just kind of in the way. Or, yeah, homing missile. Yeah. H. They both start with H. It's a big icon with an H.
They have H on the icon. It's easy to get confused.
Yeah.
So he's gonna potentially use those in this room right here, and that's basically the only place you use them in this category. There's a couple other places in some of the. Okay, perfect. It's there's a one time in the entire run you were use a homing missile. There's a couple other places in some of the other categories, but unfortunately, he's in this category. After he beats the Area 6 boss, he's gonna soft reset again, which while it will keep his permanent power ups, he loses things like his hover bar and any of the special weapons.
So a cool strat right here, by pausing and unpausing, it causes all these destructible blocks to come back. So you can kind of just break some, jump, pause and unpause, and get stuck in the wall to jump up further.
Yep. And because of the fact that we're skipping most of Area 7, that is the most intricate block puzzle you will see in this entire run.
So for some reason, you can just walk along the bottom of the screen there and not take damage.
Yeah, I mean the short answer is that they didn't have enough room in the tile map to assign an overhang that also damaged you. So it just there's an overhang. The fact that there's an overhang there means you can just walk there for free. It's a little hard to tell from looking at this at a glance, but the things that they had to build this map out of are actually fairly large. Just because they didn't have enough space on the cartridge or enough memory on the NES. The NES only has 2 kilobytes of RAM to work with, so there's a lot of they had to optimize a lot of stuff.
Boss actually died cooperatively there.
Yeah,
that boss is prone to a bit of a glitch where it doesn't set its I'm dead flag properly, so it'll just kind of walk around exploding, flailing its arms at you like a maniacal zombie trying to take you out and ruin your run.
And lagging like hell because of all the explosions that are on the screen. Yeah. It's a little less likely in the Japanese version for whatever reason, but I've still seen it happen.
You okay for a quick donation?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, we got a bit of a confusing one, but I'm going to go for it. We got a $10 donation from Anonymous, who says, "And fish go blub. and the seal goes ow ow ow, but there's one sound that no one knows. What did the fox say? And I know it's a reference to a song, but I don't know why. But at least they put their $10 towards Sega bass fishing, so that's that. So yeah, thank you Anonymous for the $10 donation.
Alright, so the power-up that he got from killing that last boss allows the tank to drive up vertical walls, which you'll really only see a couple of times. I guess you'll only see it really on the way to Area 7, and then also on the way to Area 8. Normally, you would also use it throughout Area 7 to get around certain areas, but as we said before, he's going to be skipping most of Area 7.
And this game controls so well until you get the second of the 2 wall upgrades.
Yep.
Which allows you to go along ceilings and down walls, and it has the added side effect of if you're anywhere near the edge of a platform and you try to jump, the wall 2 overrides your jump and you go down the face of the wall.
Yep.
And they fixed it in the they made a modern remake of this game. It was originally Switch and 3DS exclusive, but now it's available for Steam, Xbox One, every console you can imagine. Blaster Master Zero. They gave Wall its own dedicated button, which was a huge quality of life improvement. And I also recommend anybody that likes this run or this game check out the remake because it's just as good.
Okay, shut up. This is the hardest part of the run.
Yes! Okay.
Nice! That's really precise, and if you screw it up, you die. It's not a huge time loss because you have infinite continues, and so you can theoretically just keep trying until you get it, but it's at least 15 seconds of time loss every time you mess that up. So the fact that he got it right the first time is real good.
Oh, got that high-pitched grenade churn.
Really hard to tell when it's dead.
Yep. I usually listen to a certain beat in the music. I find that tends to work pretty well for me.
True.
So now he's going to game over again because it actually put him at the entrance to the side tunnel where you're supposed to go in the boss door, which is like you can't reach it without the tank. And walking back and doing the trick in the other direction is way slower than just game overing. So in the warpless categories, you do actually have to walk all the way back on the Japanese version and do the skip and reverse. Yeah. Like then faster to game over.
That hover drop was amazing, by the way.
Yep. Yeah, that I don't know exactly what the likelihood of those red caterpillars dropping hover is, but I know it's fairly low. Like, I know I mentioned it before, where certain enemies will always drop a certain kind of item, but they also have their own individual likelihood of dropping anything at all.
Yeah.
Like those skulls in Area 1 that drop the missiles. As far as I know, they will always drop the missiles unless the sprite overflows.
I've heard 40% as the drop rate from the pink caterpillars.
Yeah, I could theoretically go check because there's actually I found the data table for all of that stuff, but I'd have to go digging through my notes and figuring it out.
But the hover drop Ahmad got is really nice coming up in Area 8 here.
Yep.
The Wall 2 upgrade allows us to go across the ceiling and past the spike trap and onward to the final area. There's a really nasty jump about 3 or 4 rooms in.
Yep.
And without hover, it's a nightmare, can ruin your run. Really tricky to get past. With hover, it's trivial.
Yep. So he's going to be taking some intentional damage at a couple spots here just because it's way faster than doing it the way you're quote-unquote supposed to do it. But yeah, thankfully, some of these enemies will drop health fairly often, and so he can grab some refills just for safety. Okay, that room right there, that's probably the second most dangerous room in the run. This one right here is the most dangerous. And you can kind of see why. There's just spike pits everywhere. The jumps are pretty precise.
The purple hackway.
Yeah, the caterpillars are surprisingly difficult to hit. That wasn't perfect, but that was still really good. Like, he barely slowed down, and he took a bit more damage than I'd really like, but he's got enough health that he's probably okay.
Yeah, that room is just made even worse by the fact that Wall 2 is just trying to make you go into the spikes the entire trek down that hallway.
Yeah. He's got plenty of health now. He ought to be completely fine.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Taking out tons of enemies to reduce lag, because this screen can lag really, really heavily.
Yeah, these red skulls, they not only drop bombs, but then when the bombs explode, they spawn an enemy. So if you can take them out on your way over there, it can save a non-trivial amount of time just from the reduced lag. I still do not understand why there are power-ups in these rocks, because this is the last part of the game and you never go back to the tank. I do not know why they stuck power-ups in there. Okay, so there's actually 2 bosses he's going to fight here, and for this first one, he's going to do a modified version of the pause trick, and it doesn't, as you can see, it disappears every time you pause, and so you can't damage it while it's disappeared, but it is still ticking down its iframes. So the fact that you're pausing it means, and then unpausing it rapidly, means it moves a lot less, and it means it has less time to shoot at you. And so it doesn't end up saving time, but it's a lot safer. And then for this boss, for whatever reason, it can't hurt you if it's in its own iframes. And so if you can mash grenade fast enough, you can just keep him invincibility frame locked and kill him.
According to my math back in the day, it's about 8 inputs per second to hold this.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I want it. Okay, it's about time. And time.
Wow.
Okay, like looking at the stream, this is gonna be this is gonna be like a low 26. This is really good.
What was the time?
2605 ish. It looks like
2607, roughly.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really good. That's better than my PB by at least 20 seconds. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm mostly happy about getting the Area 7 skip on the first try, because obviously that's notoriously difficult in this game. But
yep.
Slight hiccups every now and then stop my movement, but overall, like, almost sub the 26, so I can't really feel bad about that now, can I?
Yeah, I mean, if you'd had the hover form that David had gotten, that definitely would have been a sub 26, but can't have it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that I can think of that like went poorly was the hover farm.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty much the only thing. Obviously, thank you, Uranimanker and Scavenger, coming over to help with the commentary. Appreciate that, because both of you have been one of my biggest inspirations to start the game in the first place. So thank you so much.
Well, you're more than welcome. Yeah, I just for some backstory, I have been speedrunning this game since 2009, so I've been at this for a very long time.
Obviously, thank you, ESA, for having me here. Not only for one run, so 2 runs altogether. So I'm humbled and honored to have this chance, even though it's the debut run. Well, the first one was a debut run. This is the second run, but still, thank you so much. And is there something you guys want to add?
Nothing I can think of other than good run. Like, that was an excellent run, and if you enjoyed this game, give it a try yourself. We have a pretty friendly community. Always looking for more runners. This game kind of like is very, I feel it's underloved and doesn't have enough people running it. So all of you watching can change that for us.
Yep. Definitely. Before I forget, there's actually one of the sequels to this game is hitting Steam and Switch, and I want to say PS4 today. Blaster Master 03 is out today. Go get it.
Literally released 1 hour ago.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, thank you guys. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thank you a lot for that run. Coming up next, we have Jimmy Diamonds running Battle Axe. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.